Hi, good morning, and welcome to Security in Mind, the online security channel on YouTube. I want to ask you to subscribe if you like my videos, because I noticed that a lot of people are not subscribed watching my videos. I think it's like 90% or something like that. So I'm getting a lot of views from non-subscribers, and I love it. But if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would be really happy too. So today's video is going to be all about a simple explanation to how to work with burp suite, and I'm gonna use TryHackMe as a playground. I'm using just this typical room that I usually use. It's called Bold, A Hero is Unleashed. It's a very easy room to fulfill, so it's not really gonna be about the room. It's just gonna be me using the server, so I have something to work with using burp. So I already installed burp suite on my computer. I'm gonna start that by typing burp suite in the terminal. Now this is, by the way, Linux Kali I'm running. So if you're on a Windows machine, you can just go to the website called burp swigger. Portswigger, sorry. Not burp swigger. Portswigger, like that. And you just go to products, and depending on which kind of subscription you have, well, basically I use the community edition because I do not have a license. And let's just say that you want to use the enterprise edition. You can scroll down, look for pricing and plans, and you can see that, well, it's quite an amount of money you need to invest whenever you are going to use the enterprise edition. So you can also go and say, but I want to use the professional edition. Yeah, well, you can buy that for $349, and that is quite a different deal compared to the enterprise edition. So if you wish to do that, that is of course a lot more affordable, but it is only a 1 year sub. So let's say you want like 3 year sub, then it's 1,000 something, and then you're just like, oh, that's a lot of money. So if you don't have that kind of money, you should just stick to the community edition and just download whatever. You need to type in your, well, you can go straight to downloads, it seems, and then you can just download whatever version you wish. Remember to do the community edition, and then you can do like Mac OS X, you can do Linux, Windows, or jar file. Depending on your working environment, then you can of course install and so on. Yeah, and then there are some things for you to read here if there's anything you need to bug fix or something like that. Alright, so let's get started with burp suite. I already got it started. It prompts me to update, but I'm not gonna say no because I have a really new version, so it's fine. And I'm gonna say this is just a temporary project. Now if this was not a temporary project, you would need to pick one of the other ones, but since this is community edition, I think yeah, disk-based projects are only supported by burp suite, so you cannot record your progress and stuff like that using the community edition. So you're just gonna stick to the temporary project and go next. And since you do not have anything, this is a new installation, I do not have any configurations I need to load, so I'm just gonna say use burp defaults, which I'm also gonna recommend you to do. So I'm gonna start burp now. So burp is started, and first-hand impressions is that, whoa, where shall I click? Alright, so it is not as difficult as you might think. The basic part for you is to go to the proxy tab. That's going to be the very first thing you need to do, and then you can go to options under that. Now what you see here is something called proxy listeners. So Basically, this means that your local loop back address on your network interface card, or your network card, or your internet card, whatever you want to call it, is listening on a port called 8080. So you need to set your browser up to directing traffic through this port here. So it's already running. This is the default installations. Now, if you have anything running on that port, let's say anything else, basically anything else, you need to change the port here. You can do that by marking it and edit it, and just choose any other port you would like to use. If not, I recommend you to use the default settings. On your browser, I really recommend you to go install a plugin called Foxy Proxy. When you have that installed, you can create some settings here. That's just a part of when you click it, you can click burp proxy. It's something that I added. And when I do that, my browser diverts all traffic towards burp proxy. So whenever I hit enter on, let's assume that I went to Google and I did something, and then I turned on burp proxy and I switched to diverting all traffic to burp, well then all the traffic from my browser would then be diverted to burp proxy. So let me just go into Paint and show you how this would work in reality whenever you are using burp proxy. So this is your browser, and this is burp proxy. So I'm just gonna write browser, yeah, and burp proxy. Usually when you go to the internet, what happens is that you just, do you have a cloud here? We have a cloud. There we go. That is the internet, ladies and gentlemen. So usually what happens is that you go to your browser, you type something in, and you go directly to the internet. That is what usually happens. But what we would like to do is divert the traffic this way and that way. So whenever we send a new request, we can do something with it and fiddle with it the most raw way ever. It's gonna be raw HTTP protocol. We can see all the data being sent, the package, how it's set up and everything formatted before it's being sent to the internet. The same goes to what we receive from the internet. So basically we can do like what we receive is still intercepted. So we have these steps, which is gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is what is happening when you proxy your data through burp from your browser before you go to the internet. All this with burp is happening within your machine. So that is what the orange border means. That is your PC. I'm gonna write that in capital and an exclamation mark. I hope you understand that. If not, then please go back to the video and watch it again. Alright, so let's Foxy Proxy. So I'm using Firefox. You can just go Firefox extensions Foxy Proxy and get that, and then you install it. And basically when you install that, you just go to Foxy Proxy and options, and then you just add, maybe the interface is different for you because I did install this like a few months ago, so might they updated something, I don't know. Anyways, just press add, and then you give it a title. I should call it burp proxy. This is fine. What you need to write here is 127.0.0.1, and the port is 8080. Then you press save, and when you did that, you can just go and choose burp proxy like that, and now it says burp right here, because that's the most first 4 letters that they can show on the top of the icon. So what I'm gonna do now is go back to burp proxy and say, all right, so I'm on the proxy and I'm on the intercept, and intercept is on. Basically, this means if I click that, it is off. When the intercept is off, I'm not intercepting any traffic or whatsoever from whatever program that I'm proxying data towards burp proxy. I'm gonna put it on, go to my browser, Foxy Proxy. I'm gonna divert all traffic now to burp, and when I go to the IP address of this room, open new tab, I press enter, you will see that it pops up in burp proxy. Sometimes it does not pop up like this, depending on the operating system you're in and a few other things. Then you might just have to click it, but you can see that it is at least orange, and you intercepted this HTTP request. So what the browser is trying to do, and pay attention to how the tab is just hanging there and waiting for like can I send the request please? And you say no because I'm proxying it. You can see that it's a GET request to the root of the website side. That is the IP address 10.10.45.225, 10.10.45.225, and basically this is just a normal request. I'm gonna press forward now, and what really happens is that I get this default page back, and this is just the actual page from the web server that I loaded. Now I know that from this room experience, port 8000 is the one, and pay attention to that. Since I haven't turned intercept off, well, basically it's still intercepted request, so I'm gonna send that forward and say it's fine. And now we are being tasked to do some other things, and that's fine. So now we have the side. What is interesting is that if you wanna, let's say, test for cross-site scripting on this input field here, you just write something like test, press search, and now you get the request you sent by pressing on the search button. That HTTP request was a GET request, and basically what you could do is I'm just gonna, let's see, can I pretty please I just wanted to user options, enter, change the font size. Let's just see, window, no, repeater, no. Okay, it seems that I cannot do it right now, so I hope it is large enough for you to watch. No, anyways, let's not waste your time with that. What I'm gonna do now is just right click in the white area here. I'm gonna send this to repeater. I'm gonna drop this now, but just turning it off, and the browser is powering it off and just saying, okay, you search for this, and you have test here, and this is what you search for, and everything is fine. So what you could do now is go to burp, and you send it to repeater. So when you go to repeater, you can see this request that you just sent, and repeater is a tool in burp where you can just send the request one time and get the response back in the burp program. So does that resend the data to your browser and so on? So let's write test2 and send this and go back to your browser, and you see that there's nothing going on right here. Now, so what you're gonna do usually is just go to raw here, then you response and request, and on the raw side you can see whatever you got back in raw HTML, which is usually what you want to see when you do stuff like that. So you want to test for stuff. You want to test, does this injection actually work? I'm going to do an HTML injection, just an HTML injection, and then you just fire it off. And basically what you're going to wait for is the response to come back, and it seems that we broke the server. I love it. Let's try again. It seems that it does not want to play with us. Let's try to delete some of it and see what happens. So yeah, it totally broke. It's very interesting. So this is just some things you notice whenever you test for for vulnerabilities on a website. Let's just see. I'm not sure if this works or anything, but no result found for HTML. So we could probably go to the site here and just say H1, you know, just put it in and see what happens. It's already pretty big, so what if just we do some italic, you know, like this, and we do not see anything in particular, or I'm pretty confident this site does actually sanitize the input before it's being outputted back to the page. But this would be the way that you could test for stuff. Another good thing you could do on burp proxy is, now I know that there is some login page on the bold login, so I'm just gonna write test 1 2 3, go back to burp, go back to proxy, intercept is on, go back here, send the request, and I get all the data that I'm trying to log in with from the browser. So I'm going to right click and send it to repeater. I'm going to drop the request, go back to the browser and see that, okay, so this is failed, that's fine. Go back to repeater again and see that I have all the data here that I'm trying to log in with. So this is a post request to the URL /bold/login using this protocol and the host and very boring stuff. What is interesting here, usually it could be either the cookie you have. Now this is data you don't see in your browser when you just browse the page. It is there for you. It is always not encrypted. However, it is easier in burp to intercept it. You see that you have some user login, username, test, user login 1 2 3, and some other stuff, something that looks like some token of some sort. This could very easy just be some cross-site requests mitigation token, and well, yeah, not really important for us. So what you could do is like test for different logins. Now just gonna send the data raw one time so you can see the view, and what we get here is, you can scroll down a bit, it says not correct here. So you could say, but I think maybe it's, I think the username would be admin and the password is password, and you just write that, you know, and send it, and then you go back and see like, oh, it's not correct. So that this gets very boring, and but it's a very good way of testing. If you know, or you maybe suspect that there is some sort of SQL injection going on here, well then you can also just try like put in a pling and say, with this, you know, fire off some warning, and let's just see what happens. It's a doesn't really say much. I thought it would say something. Let's go back to the site then and just put a pling in and some gibberish data, and it seems that, you know, it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't output any errors or anything at all. So I know that this site does not have SQL injection because I did it before. It's not a part of the tutorial to find vulnerability, just to show how to use burp proxy to enumerate whatever vulnerability there might be. So let's assume that now you want to test, but you want to test faster. So I'm going to right click here again in the field. I'm going to send this to intruder. So we're going back to another tool called intruder. Now it tells us the host is this and the port is that, which is true. If you are having a HTTPS certificate running on the side, I would probably tick this. And now we are going to from the target to the position. We can choose between different attack types like sniper, battering ram, blah blah blah. Now in this particular example, it's going to use sniper, and sniper is just a repeating, guessing, login, request, attempt, attack, long word. So what I'm going to do is to look at the request we got in the sniper that I sent from the repeater. It is the same request as before. So what we're going to do here, this is an automated process where we're going to say, is this a password? Is that the password? Is that the password? Is that the password? So it's going to be a brute forcing mechanism. So what I'm gonna do is go to the right here and say I'm gonna press the button clear. Pay attention to the small whatever the name of these is, the gnyphs signs. They've been removed now because we only want the username and the password to be the ones that we are guessing. Maybe let's assume that we know the username admin, and let's assume that we want to guess the password. We're gonna double click that and press add, so you see that the small interesting signs is surrounding the word password. I'm gonna go to payloads now, and the payload set is 1, that is true, and the symbol payload type is just a simple list. So you can either say like, okay, so I'm gonna put in password, or just pass, or 123, or bold admin 123, or password, or ho ho, it's Christmas, and so on. Or you can of course load it from a file and just put it in, which is going to be comma separated. Since we already have some values now, I'm just going to press start attack because this is the time we do that. And yeah. And now the attack is starting. And just looking at the result for now, it's just, it's a lot of jimble jumble, you know. It says 200 to all of them, and the length are, all of them is different. Not the 2 here, pass and password. So what I'm gonna do is just, I just sorted it by length. I'm gonna choose the first one. I said by length, I'm gonna choose the first one, and just look at that in raw. And it looks like this. Yeah, we can double click it, and that's really good, and just see the different passwords we're getting, and all of that is really nice. So what we're gonna do now is to find out the responses. I'm gonna click the response side here and click the first one. So what was the response for the first? So sign in, view site, username password not correct, please check your login, and then we can just continue, and everything is really good. Now I know for a fact that we can, on the website, let's just view site again, find the password and the username. The password is bold admin 123, and I think the what's the admin user is bold. So what I'm going to do now is to go back to the to burp proxy, discard this result, go back to the intruder, sorry, and the payloads, and go back to the position and say the user was not admin but bold. And I noticed that it told me that it was bold admin 123, and I have this here. I'm going to start the attack again just to see some success. And now we see something different and interesting, that the result from the bold admin 123 is now a lot less in length. I'm going to press response and scroll down a bit, and now you see it says redirecting to bold. And there's no beautiful way in burp to see like, oh, that is the correct password. It is just the way it is. You need to look, and this is a manual automatic way, so it's like a split thing. And please pay in mind that this is a really interesting and good tool you can use to find vulnerabilities in applications. I highly suggest you use it. So I think for this video we looked at the proxy tab, intruder, the repeater. What we kind of need to look at is the sequencer, decoder, comparer, and there's some other things, but usually those are commonly used in rooms on Try Hack Me. So I think for now this is alright. So if you like my videos, please consider to subscribe, and also next time I'm gonna see you again.